Hi, I'm Jeff Camp. I'm the founder and editor of Ed100.org. Thank you to all of you who are stepping up to serve your students and school communities. I just want to take a few minutes to explain what Ed100 is and who it's for and some of the ways you can use it. I started writing Ed100 many years ago. I was working with a group of volunteers through a nonprofit organization called Full Circle Fund. The volunteer team that I was on wanted to help make public schools work better for more kids. But the system is so big that we kind of didn't know where to begin. I had been thinking about the education system for a while, so I stuck my hand up and said I'd write kind of an explainer thing to demystify the system, for the newbies. It would be a pamphlet or something, we thought. Maybe it would take a couple months. As I got going on it, I started realizing two things. First, it was going to take a lot more than a couple of months because the system is really big and there's a lot to know. Second, I realized that a lot of people need this kind of information. What started as a pamphlet needed to be a website. There are thousands of people who care about making the education system work all over the state, in every school community. In fact, the system depends on volunteers, from school events to site councils to advisory boards, task forces, and school boards. In most communities, people who want to get involved in making schools work get started with their PTA because it's the organization that asks people to stick their hand up. In education, there are always one or two big issues of the moment, which is how media works, right? When an issue is hot, well, maybe something changes. When my kids were little, the big education reform idea of the moment was that all school kids should wear the same uniforms. Then for a long time, it was all about tests. During the pandemic, of course, it was all about masks and keeping people safe. But the issue of the moment, no matter what it is, isn't really what makes schools work over the long haul. Schools are complex systems. They work when lots of things work at once for lots of people. They break for all kinds of reasons that can be different from place to place or year to year. PTA leaders and student leaders and community leaders can have a huge impact by having the perspective and knowledge to think about their school systemically, diagnostically, and get involved to see what needs help to work well. Volunteers can support programs or advocate together for something that can make a difference. Ed100.org is a self-paced course. It's built up of short lessons for anyone who wants to understand California's education system as a system. Each lesson takes about 5 or 10 minutes to read in English or Spanish, and it explains an aspect of the system or a topic of importance. There are loads of links in the lessons to go deeper. They're organized into 10 chapters in this structure. Education is students and teachers spending time in places for learning with the right stuff in a system with resources for success. So now what? At the end of each lesson, there's a single quiz question that reinforces one major point from the lesson. You can take the lessons in any order. If you pass all of the quizzes, you earn your certificate as an Ed100 graduate. Now, as you pass lessons, you see your progress toward your certificate on your personal leaderboard and on the leaderboard for your school, so you can encourage one another. We also can create leaderboards for PTA councils and districts so you can see and celebrate your progress as a group. We restart the leaderboard at the end of each school year. To add some fun, we also occasionally hold drawings, and each quiz that you pass earns a ticket in the drawing for the benefit of your school, not you, your school. Anyone can read any lesson on Ed100 whenever they want. It's all open and it's all free. But I would say that Ed100 has had the biggest impact in places where groups of people have used it together as a way to build an informed community intentionally. We've seen PTA units do that at the unit and council level and as a vehicle for staff training for community. Some college professors use Ed100 as part of their syllabus, especially for courses that prepare future teachers. The sweet spot seems to be when groups make a decision to use Ed100 together, kind of like a book club for a purpose. Reading through Ed100 together at a rate of maybe about 1 chapter per week. 10 chapters, 10 weeks, 10 conversations. To help groups succeed with this approach, we've prepared discussion guides for each chapter, which you can find by clicking the star. It's at the bottom of each lesson. We know people don't always read the lessons in time for the group meeting, so we prepared a 5-minute chapter overview video for each of the chapters, which you can find on YouTube. We have found that high school student leaders can bring a lot of insight and energy to these conversations, so you might want to consider inviting students to be part of your study group and part of your conversation. They can be discussants, note takers, facilitators. When you reach the end of your 10 weeks, will you drop me a note and tell me what emerged from it? I would really like to know. Thank you again for all that you do.